So why don't we just call the sons of God angels?
Yeah, why don't we?
So, Dr. Heiser, who are these Elohim? It's still not very clear to me.
Well, let's think about it this way. If Elohim doesn't refer to a specific set of unique attributes, it must mean something else. And the way I would describe this is a biblical writer would use the term Elohim of some entity, something, that by nature they were disembodied and members of the spiritual world. So Elohim is really sort of akin or synonymous with another Hebrew term, rukot, spiritual beings. Okay? Any member of the spiritual world is an Elohim. Now, there are lots of different terms for the members of the spiritual world. We don't need to rabbit trail into that necessarily. There are terms of rank and hierarchy and job descriptions and all this. But fundamentally, if you're a member of the spiritual world, whether you're a supernatural being or the disembodied human dead, like in 1 Samuel 28, this is where you are now. And I use that term to label you as an inhabitant of the spiritual world. Now, in Psalm 82, there are certain members of the spiritual world, spiritual beings, Elohim, that are under judgment. God is not happy with them. If we go over to Psalm 89, again, where we have the same kind of language, we have a reference to the sons of God. This is Psalm 89, 5 through 7. Who is like you among the sons of God? Okay? And you have these different attributes thrown out, and of course the point is that nobody's like the God of Israel, the God of this assembly, and so on and so forth. But again, it's spiritual beings, and the counsel there is in the skies. It's in the spiritual world. It's in the heavens. Again, these are terms that biblical writers would use to describe where God is and where we are not. One of those is the heavens. Okay? So Elohim are just spiritual beings. Now, if you go to 1 Kings 22, this is kind of an interesting example to make this point. We have a passage that I think is sort of illustrative. This is the story of the prophet Micaiah, when Ahab, the wicked king of the northern kingdom, Israel, asked Jehoshaphat, the king of the southern kingdom, to come up and plot with him to go up to remote Gilead and enter into some warfare conflict. And so Jehoshaphat goes and visits him, and Ahab rolls his prophets out, and of course they're saying, "You're great, Ahab, do whatever you want, you're awesome." And Jehoshaphat isn't satisfied. He says, isn't there a prophet of Yahweh around here somewhere that we can ask him? These are all just yes men. And Micaiah, gets pulled out of prison or wherever he was, because Ahab just says he hates this guy because he never tells me what I want to hear. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, they go get him, brings him into the scene. At first, he mocks the question. He acts like the prophets of Baal that Ahab had trucked out. And then he gets serious. And he says, okay, you want to know what I see as a prophet? Micaiah said, therefore, hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, obviously in the heavenly realms, God's abode, all the host of heaven standing beside him on his right and on his left. The Lord said, who will entice Ahab that he may go up and fall at remote Gilead? And one said one thing, another said another. Then a spirit came forward and stood before the Lord, saying, I will entice him. And then, the plan unfolds. So here we have the host of heaven. They're called spirits. If we go over to, again, Psalm 89, Job 38, where we have the sons of God, again, the host of heaven, the stars of the heavens. These are supernatural beings. All of these terms sort of refer to their spiritual nature, their disembodied nature, and Elohim is just one of them. Sons of God, sons of Elohim, are Elohim because they're spiritual beings. That's really all they are. And it's just a broad reference to members of the spiritual world.
So why don't we just call the sons of God angels?
Yeah, why don't we? Honestly, it's not the end of the world if we do, because we're used to thinking of that term, members of the heavenly host, angels. Why not? It's not precise language, but like I said, if that's just easier, then I don't have any objection to it. Angel is actually a job description. In both Hebrew and Greek, Hebrew is malach, Greek is angelos. It means messenger. And it doesn't really describe what a thing is, what a member of the spiritual world is. It describes what they do. So it's a little imprecise, but again, for our purposes, and maybe someone just to wrap their head around Psalm 82, it's not too bad. So I'm not so vested in it, Elohim, that we have to sort of get away from angel language. But I think it is still important, though, that we realize that God is using, through the writer, a specific term here, Elohim. It's actually going to become important later, like in the Psalms, where humans are created a little lower than Elohim. Okay, it doesn't say angels there in the original text, it says Elohim. That gets filtered to us in the New Testament as angels, so it's kind of 6 to 1, half a dozen another, but it shows that this word is used for plural beings in the text. And so for that point, I think it's important, but for average discussion, yeah, sure, go ahead. If that helps, do it.